Okay, we are live, and today we have such a special guest, and I am so excited to have you here, Jessica. So, welcome everybody. My name is Elizabeth, as you may already know, with Furtado Law Solutions, and today we have Dr. Jessica Stahl with Ignite Results. So, first and foremost, tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you get into this whole industry? Let's start.
Thanks so much for having me. This is going to be really fun.
Yes, it's a
We had
pleasure.
conversations before. So I've been in roofing full time for a year and a half as a business owner. Before
Mhm.
that, I've done part-time work in the roofing industry for about 3 years. So when people ask me how I got into roofing, I typically tell them it's kind of like the mafia. So once you're in, you're in.
Yeah,
And I was
there's
born
no turning
into,
back.
I was born into like a family of contractors. I have five brothers. They're all in contracting. My dad and my stepdad, they're contractors. So I'm very familiar with the life. And one of the main reasons that I wanted to get back into this is, I left home. I lived in a tiny town outside of Nashville.
Mhm.
Most exciting thing there in the past 5 years is a Taco Bell.
Mhm.
Um, some people are excited about or about prom, but we had tractor day.
Mhm.
Everybody drives their tractors to school.
It
Um,
sounds like so much fun.
yeah, that's where I grew up. And it's like it taught me so much about family and community and just like that diligence and hard work because I grew up on
Right.
a farm. So it's
Mhm.
always, the land and really tough work.
Right.
But I just always felt like there was something bigger and better. So
Mhm.
that's why I went and got my PhD and was a college professor, and worked in Fortune 100 companies. But
Mhm.
my dad actually had a stroke about 6 years ago.
Wow.
And so he almost died. And he owns a roofing company. And just like the stress of roofing just really took a toll on his body and our family. And that's when he was finally ready to listen.
Mhm.
Um, it's unfortunate, but typically, like pain is the biggest motivator for change.
100%. Mhm.
So
Yeah,
I
that was
told
a turn of events.
I told him, I've got a way that I can help you. I don't know if this is going to apply to roofing. I only know it works for Fortune 100 companies, but I can try to see. I'm your last resort, so you might as well.
Right.
And so he was at 3 million, just kind of like stuck at that 3 million mark. And then
Mhm.
6 million, he'll be at 20 million this year.
Wow. What
Mhm.
an increment.
Yeah.
That's amazing. What I love the most is that it happened in such a lovely way. It was, evidently, it was very unfortunate for that to happen to him. But due to that, it pushed you to also grow within the whole industry right alongside him. I think that's
Hmm.
amazing. And you've just kept going after that?
Yeah. It was super rewarding. And my dad's business, when I tell you it was a disaster, and he lets me talk about this freely, it's just like the main issue was not great culture and not hiring good people. So we had people stealing, having inappropriate relations in the office, dealing drugs on job sites. So after we fixed that problem of like just not hiring anybody that has a heartbeat and focused on finding people that fit with our company culture, that was the
Mhm.
game changer.
Mm.
Because now those people stay at the company, they turned into leaders at the company and actually
Mhm.
care about something bigger than themselves rather than just
Right.
a paycheck. That was the difference right there.
Okay. So would you say that you looked at all the areas that needed to be improved within the company in order for you to bring in what was necessary to make it grow?
Yeah. So, instead of just hiring good people, good people, you can get good people, but they're not going to stay unless your company is put together. So,
100%. Mhm.
like
Right.
we've got to do like an overhaul of what's going on here.
Mm-hmm.
So an employee handbook, that's a great place to start, is how do we want people to act, and what's our policies for people in the company, organizational structure, our growth plan, like what's our action steps to meet our goals over the next 1 and 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
How do we compare to our competitors? um, where's how, like, are our processes even efficient? um,
Mm-hmm.
so going over all of that as the foundation, instead of, a lot of contractors, they're like, we have a recruitment problem, and it's like, no, you don't. You have a company problem. You have
Mm-hmm.
an organization that is completely unstructured with no systems, and people won't stay. So you actually have a retention problem rather than a hiring problem.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I love the fact that you pay attention to those things, the gaps within the company, and you bring all that in full circle. So you had a chance to kind of test things out with your father's company. So after that, did you have the idea of starting your own company, or how did that develop?
Yeah. So, I mean, I worked in corporate America. I've worked for, I think I've worked for like 27 companies doing consulting. I
Mm-hmm.
started when I was 21, um, not doing anything in contracting, but retail, airports, government, FedEx, public
Mm-hmm.
supermarket. So, like, big companies. And that's where I thought I wanted to stay, was in corporate. Um, but just like every day I sat in that cubicle, and I just thought, like, I really want to own my own company. And I don't know what I'm going to do, but I had the name Ignite Results written down like 6, 7 years ago.
Oh,
And
wow.
I just, like, would look at this, and I'm like, I know that I want to do this, but I would have never done it unless, like, the circumstances leading up to it. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, I got let go from my corporate job. Um, so there was like international spies that invaded my company, and the FBI was involved
Oh,
at
wow.
the corporate company I was working for, and I got laid off. And, like, I just flew out the next day to my dad's roofing convention, which he
Mm-hmm.
told me we were going skiing. And I show up at a roofing convention. So I'm like, all right, this is really weird. And then
Mm-hmm.
I just, like, had this light in me, like, I think I can make a difference here. I don't know that much about the industry, but I know a lot about people, and I know a lot about contractors. And I think that I'm just going to start my business tomorrow. So that's kind of how it worked.
Wow. And Ignite Results. Why Ignite Results?
Um, I mean, that's like one of our things, is we like to track data.
Okay.
Um, so we're not just coming in promising what we're gonna, like, our process and what we're gonna do. It's like, what are we gonna achieve? So we always want those results to be measurable.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then Ignite, and that's really because of the rapid growth. I mean, if you work with contractors, their attention span is 90 days at best. So I need to get in and out of a company and make a huge impact in 90 days.
Okay.
Um, so Ignite, like, really growing fast and having measurable results in the end.
Mm-hmm. And you've been in business for how long now?
A year and a half.
A year and a half. And what
Mhm.
has your experience been like in this past year and a half?
I would say I've grown a lot. Um, I mean, I picked up my first client, uh, and I was going to charge him $700, and
Mm-hmm.
my other friend in the industry was like, "No, you should charge him 18,000 because you're going to double his revenue." I was like, "Okay, it's going to be $18,000, like,
Mm-hmm.
no problem." Um, and he's almost quadrupled his income at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But I just really didn't have, like, any systems down. I just was hoping for the best, and it worked, and I brought in a lot of experts. I mean, not doing everything myself was probably one of the reasons that I'm successful. So I bring in people like Scott Riopel, who is, the genius in the industry, and some of my leveraging my dad and other roofers. Um, so like I'm coming in with great consulting processes combined with a lot of experience in the roofing industry.
Yes, years on top of years of experience. Okay.
Yeah. So not coming in like saying, I know everything about roofing, which now a year and a half later, working with 18 companies, I know a lot about roofing.
Mm-hmm.
But leveraging other people right at the beginning, I think was very helpful for me.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I think it's also important to address the fact that when you start a business and you do it with that intention, that selfless intention to bring success to whoever you're working with, you
Yeah.
can only hope for success for yourself as well. When you go into things just simply to have a business and grow financially, then most likely your heart is not in it. You're not as invested as you should be. I think the fact that you come from that background and you talk about family, and I love the way that you speak about yours, because it seems that you're very invested in making sure that whoever you're working with not only has time for their business and their company, but also for their family time, which is something that's very underrated as well. We know that roofers spend countless hours in their business, out in the roof, out in the field, whatever it may be, but a lot of them don't see the value in actually spending time at home too. It's sort of like a balance. There needs to be a balance.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. I mean,
mm-hmm,
that's why I give them a work-life balance assessment at the beginning, so we can see exactly where it's falling apart. Like, which area of your life is it? Spiritually, emotionally? Like, is it your physical health? Because if one of those is out of balance, like the whole thing crumbles. I mean,
absolutely. Mm-hmm,
I think that's kind of like what's different about Ignite is that we take into consideration the whole family. So one of my first clients, he wasn't there for a lot of he wasn't there for like a lot of the activities.
mm-hmm,
Um, he just had his third kid, and it's completely different. He's there all the time for his kid. His wife wrote me this beautiful card, like she has her husband back, and he's making more money.
mm-hmm.
So it's like, oh, a lot of times, contractors feel like they have to choose, but they
Yeah.
don't. If you have your priorities straight from the beginning, then you're going to be more successful in your business and your home life.
Mm-hmm. And that has to be so rewarding to know that
Yeah.
you made such a big difference, not only in their financial aspect of things, but also in their home where everything begins. Wow.
Yeah.
So you talked about assessment. Let's get into that a bit, because I think it's so important to learn a bit more about how that starts off. Um, what is your procedure when you are looking into working with someone? How does that usually work out?
Yeah. So, I developed an assessment that is scored, that has a point system for their readiness to work with me.
Mm-hmm.
And if they're just starting, it's going to be a way different approach than somebody who's been in business 2 to 3 years.
Right.
So it's really finding out, what structures and systems they have in place, how self-aware they are,
Mm-hmm.
the issues going on with their team. So I have like a written assessment that comes out with charts that shows me, are you a high, medium, or low on your readiness for this?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that's the starting point.
Okay. Okay. That's a wonderful starting point. Assessing, like I said, those little gaps that may not be so obvious to them, that may be obvious to you. And pointing those things out is essentially what leads them to really make that decision. Am I ready for this or not? Yeah.
Yeah. It's like I would love what I say to some people. I had a client out of Massachusetts that called. I was like, I would love to take your money,
Mm-hmm.
but I can't give you the results you need right now. So call me back in September. So he wrote this nice post on one of the big roofing groups that has like
Mm-hmm.
15,000 people in it, that he was really grateful that a consultant was honest with him. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
going to take people on that are going to fail. I mean, I just can't in good faith do that.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Very proactive of you to also look into that and not just say, I'll just take their money and do whatever I can with it. No, it's more about having that code of ethics and being able to say, you're not ready. Let's not do that now, but maybe in the future.
Right, exactly.
Well, you're doing amazing things. Like, I'm just so in awe of your work. It's amazing. It's needed in the industry, I think. Very, very
For
much.
sure. Yeah, I mean, what excites me every day is to just like make that difference
Mm-hmm.
and not have, like, for me growing up, I didn't have my dad a lot of the time because he's on, missing family vacations, and my parents were on borderline of getting a divorce, and just like seeing like the devastation that it caused when a business does not have the right systems in place and doesn't have the right culture, like
Mm-hmm.
how that impacted my life. And like getting letters from, I'm like tearing up over here. So getting letters from the wives of my clients saying like, my husband is home now. He's gonna be able to be with our kid. I mean, that's just knowing that I can like have that difference is what keeps me going on a daily basis. Because
Mm-hmm.
roofers are not easy to work with. They are. I mean,
I
you
second
know.
that emotion so much. Absolutely. Absolutely. And
So
you made an impact first and foremost in your family, in your structure. And then, started putting that and investing yourself and doing the same for others. So that's such a selfless act. And you have a whole business out of that. But what I see the most is your passion for it. And I think that is the ultimate high, honestly, to be able to have that reward system, knowing that you're impacting and making a difference.
yeah, it's amazing. I mean, the fact that I make money off of it is awesome too. It's
Like a
grown a lot.
bonus.
I just hired a new consultant, he's awesome. He's so great. He works in roofing and solar. Um, Hired an admin as of this week, so full-time admin. So because I'm terrible at responding to emails, apparently. So,
Well, so glad that, that you're expanding.
yeah, and so we opened a recruiting division. So I have about 5, 6 recruiters that work for Ignite and the roofing clients. So that's been all in the last month. We've expanded quite a bit, so it's been great.
Mm-hmm. I bet your father is so proud to see all the
Oh
work that
yeah,
you're doing.
it's embarrassing a little bit. Like when we're at like conventions,
Uh-huh.
I feel like he's the dad that's on the soccer line with this giant like picture of my face. Like he's he's that guy. He's like it's very cute, but he gets a little overboard with how awesome like he thinks I am. So it's very endearing.
Yeah, I'm sure. And I'm sure it's not just him, it's people that you touch as well through what you do. Okay. And so you have a degree in organizational psychology, right? Okay. So how does that play a part in what you do?
So organizational psychology is the study of people at work. So people are like psychologists. They think I have like a couch in my office. Oh, you're going to
No.
analyze me. But it's not that. It's like, yes, I'm analyzing you, but at, in the way you think. So
Mhm.
I'm not like dealing with like personality disorders and medication and all that. It's people at work. So looking at motivation, specifically in behavior change, like how do I change your behavior at work?
Mhm.
That's really what it is. I can put systems in companies, but if you don't change your behavior to follow them, then there is no impact.
Mhm.
So, why aren't you changing your behavior? A lot of it is you don't trust leadership, you don't have the resources to do your job, and you're not rewarded correctly.
Mhm.
So, when we think about changing behavior, we need to figure out why, where it's falling apart.
Hmm.
And that's a really big thing is not just coming in and say, I know how to run a successful roofing company and here's the documents of how you're going to do it. It's like, where's the breakdown in your company and why are people not motivated to do the job that they're going to do? So
Mm-hmm.
that's a big thing about being a psychologist, and also looking at culture. I work
Mm-hmm.
a lot with culture, and people are like, think that culture is going to Top Golf once a month, but that's not really it. It's like designing your employee experience. It's really about how a person feels, how they experience their job on a daily basis. And in roofing, we spend so much time designing that customer experience, and
Mm-hmm.
our customers are happy. Like everything is geared towards the customers, but you can't have happy customers without happy team members first.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So now, not looking at like the team members just as a means to an end, but actually investing in their development, in their satisfaction. That's where the change is. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you only have one unique resource in your company, and that's your people.
Yeah.
Nobody else has that. So that needs to be, the last thing is like, oh yeah, we'll focus on our people or do some development when we have a budget. Meanwhile, you're spending all this money, thousands of dollars on marketing, but you have nobody to run those leads because
Mm-hmm.
everyone, there's constant turnover in your company. That's what I'm dealing with right now with a
Mm-hmm.
client. So,
Right, right. And it's about it also investing in the people that are getting you those results. And it usually
yeah.
starts with the people that you work with, that you employ. I have a question, and I'm
Okay.
very interested in learning this. Working with so many companies, what do you see is a common behavioral pattern that may be defeating or may not be working to their advantage?
I mean, I think there's a couple things. It's really tough as business owners grow from running a one-man show to giving up control to a team. That
Control.
that is where So that's where it falls apart. So to grow, you cannot be the center of your business operation as an owner. You
Mm-hmm.
can't be the sales manager, the production manager, the general manager, and the operations manager.
Yeah.
Like you can't be all of that and run a successful company. So something has got to happen to take you from, business owner, one man show to a team of people. Um, and so that's where we need to focus. So
Mm-hmm.
they tell me when I go in that they can't find good people to delegate to, but that's a small part of the issue. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it's they don't have systems in the company, so typically there's nothing even written down about steps to run a job. There's no
Mm-hmm.
sales manual, there's no training, anything for new people to look at. Um, so when new people come in, they're relying on the owner to learn everything. And so now you think of like it's fine for one person, but now you have 10 new hires all asking the same questions at different times to the owner.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to create a system that takes care of all of those answers. So they have everything they need on day one, so they don't have to ask for additional training or additional support. I'm creating an entire systems library for each client. That way, everybody's like, I forgot how to upload a job in the CRM. Got
Mm-hmm.
a video of how to do that in their systems library. I
Right.
forgot how to do an inspection. We have an inspection checklist right there. So all they have to do is click a button, and all of their resources are now in place that they can go find that. So that's
Mm-hmm.
one of the main things, to have the systems.
Yeah.
After the systems are there, then you find the people. It's not the other way around.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, a lot of people are like, we just need new people. And it's like, you need great systems first, and then you can get the people to come into the systems.
That makes total sense. I've worked with contractors in the past where they needed me to do something in the CRM, for example, and I had no idea how it worked out because there was no structure, no manual on how to do things. So having to go to the contractor, ask questions, and it would become so overwhelming, not for myself, but also for the other person, the one on the other end. Having to go through all that process and show me how to do things, it was just very overwhelming. So it totally makes sense to first organize things within your company and then start the hiring process, bringing them into a structure. Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I mean, typically the owner, what we've tracked, gets 11 hours a week back from what they typically been working, just because they can go in the document I provide, click, the new hires can click a button if they forget anything. The hiring manager can be like, okay, you forgot how to do an inspection. I feel video, it's in the video library. Here's how we do an inspection at our roofing company. Instead of going through this 10-minute conversation with
Yeah.
everybody, click a button, you go, you know how to do it.
So you're cutting back their time.
So much. Like, I mean, a lot of this is just old school, like not having the right communication tools, everything's on paper. We need to get really efficient with what we're doing. And I mean, the way that I set it up is when your people get in on day one, they have every single thing that they're going to need to be successful, whether
Right.
it's the training library, their employee handbook, all the logins that they're going to need for their CRM or the different apps. I am creating that so it's all done rather than waiting 3 weeks. Somebody that can't even access, Microsoft Word. We need that all on day one for whoever comes in. Like, we're not going to wait before they even get in. It's there.
Okay. All right. Well, we're almost at the end of it. Oh, I wish we had another 30 minutes for this. There's so many more questions, but being the fact that we're almost done, I have one last question for you. And I think this is so important to just shine light to. Being the businesswoman that you are, how do you feel about your own business? Like, with everything that you have seen with other business owners and yourself, what do you feel is one of the most important things to put in place when building a business or starting one?
Yeah, I mean, there's so much that I could
I'm sure.
say. I mean, I think, especially when I was starting my business and when I start working with clients, is why do you want to do this in the first place? When you're in your first year of business, I mean, I think it's like 90% of roofing companies fail in their first year of business. I mean, there's so much burnout and like stress that comes with it. Why are you doing this in the first place? So really being clear about, what do I want to accomplish? Is it to leave a legacy for my family? Is it to develop people that work for me so that they can become their own leaders? Is it to make a certain amount of money so that you can send your kids to college? I mean, what is it that's going to drive you? Because if you don't have that to fall back on, you're going to give up. I mean, if you're just in this for just money, or if you're in this on accident, like, I don't know that people just accidentally start a roofing company. I mean, it's not typically like, the thing, your go-to. So I'd say, just being like really intentional about why you're doing this and who you want to be in the process. Money changes things.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where the changes come from. And like, for me, my core values are authenticity. So really being open about what I think and I feel, that helps me relate to my contractors so much. And I never want to lose that or have to like put on this facade that I have everything together all the time.
Right.
It just gives permission to other people to learn and make mistakes on their own, which is so important when you start a company. You got to fail. You're going to fail in some way. You're going to have a client that's unhappy.
It has to be expected.
Right. So it's not really like planning how I'm not going to fail. It's like, having enough like self-confidence and grace to be able to get through those failures quickly and to learn from them. That's, I mean, that's it.
Lovely, lovely. I love that response and can totally resonate to it. So let's see. I am going to put your Facebook page here, but if any of our viewers want to get in contact with you, is there any other way where we can reach out to you, or is this the best?
Yeah, so my email is jessica@igniteresults.net. So I try to be pretty responsive on there. I have a new assistant and she's on top of it, which is great.
Awesome.
And yeah, I'm on Facebook a lot. Just reach out to me. I'm super easy to talk to, as you can tell.
I can concur. I definitely
It feels like I'm on American Idol, so I like see the screen down there, and you know how they're like, you know, number one or number two. So it feels like, but you know, I'm here for the contractors. My heart's just for them, and definitely love making a difference. So if you're like a busy roofing company owner, you want to scale, you want to get your life back. I mean, I'm definitely the person to help you do that.
Awesome. Excellent. Okay, so if you need any help with supplements or anything within that realm, you can reach out to us. You can either call or text at 720-296-6618 or email at jason@furtadolaw.solutions. And wow, Jessica, this has been amazing. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to do this interview. You have been absolutely amazing and awesome to speak with today. Thank you. Thank you so much. So thank you, viewers, as well. And I think we're going to end it on that note. Thank you so much for being here, Jessica.
All right. Thanks so much.
All right, thank you.